I supported my wife's dream from the day the world laughed at her, believing it as my own. Her business idea was born in a small room where I invested my savings for the first time. I trusted her not just because she was my wife, but because I recognized her hard work. She planned through the nights while I quietly handled the calculations. I sacrificed my desires, reduced my needs, and put my dreams aside. Slowly, as the business grew, her behavior began to change. She once sought advice, but now she made decisions alone. My words started to feel like a burden to her. Still, I chose silence because I didn't want to see our home break apart. I thought time would fix everything. Then came the day she called the biggest day of her life. It was the grand opening of her business. A hall decorated with lights, expensive clothes, and smiling faces. I was present too, standing in a corner, as if I wasn't part of the story at all. She took the microphone and began telling her success story. In that story, she mentioned her parents, friends, and herself, but my name was nowhere. My heart tried to console itself, thinking maybe the moment wasn't right. Suddenly, she looked at me and handed me an envelope. I thought it might be a letter of appreciation, but when I saw the paper, my breath stopped. It was divorce papers, given publicly, without shame. Silence filled the hall, and I felt my dignity shatter. She said she had made this decision long ago. There was coldness in her words and no emotion in her eyes. I asked no questions because the answers were already clear. I endured that moment because I didn't want to become a spectacle. I quietly walked out. All night, I questioned myself but found no answers. I remembered the last $800 I had invested in her business. That money meant a lot to me, but I sacrificed it for her dream. Now that same dream had pushed me out. The next day, I made a decision based on reality, not emotion. I took out the investment documents. I legally began the process of reclaiming my money. It wasn't revenge. It was the return of self-respect. When she found out, she panicked. She said I was damaging her business. I said she had damaged my heart. For the first time, she looked at me seriously. Maybe she realized that silent people are not weak. My money came back, but my heart still felt empty. The business started to struggle for a while. People began asking questions instead of giving praise. The one who called herself self-made now stood alone. I never wished for her failure. I only reclaimed my dignity. Time passed, and I began rebuilding myself. I learned that love can be blind, but it shouldn't be foolish. I realized that silent sacrifices are often ignored. I made myself stronger. I started investing in myself. One day I heard that her business was about to close. I felt no happiness, only sadness, because I knew we could have gone far together. But some people lose loyalty with success. I started my life anew. Now I knew my worth. I learned that respect isn't begged for. It is taken back. That incident became my identity, not my weakness. I am still quiet today, but not broken. I turned pain into strength. I learned that real wealth is not money, but self-respect. I learned that not every smile hides truth. I learned that the true test of success is character. That day was the hardest day of my life. But it also became the beginning of my new journey. I no longer walk in anyone's shadow. I have become my own light. I learned that silence can also be an answer. I learned that letting go is also strength. Today I am free. Free from the burden I carried for years. Free from a relationship that had lost respect. Free from hope that was one-sided. I no longer see myself as insignificant. I am no longer ashamed of my decisions. I saved myself at the right time. I learned that boundaries are necessary in both love and business. I learned that not everyone who supports you stays till the end. I saw myself stand up again. I felt my quiet victory. Even today, people listen to this story. Some call it revenge. Some call it ego. But for me, it was justice. I took nothing from anyone. I only reclaimed what was mine. I didn't break a heart. One rebuilt myself. I didn't nurture hatred. I learned a lesson. I didn't show tears. I showed courage. I didn't make noise. I chose silence. That silence became my true strength. That patience became my identity. That decision changed my life. Even today, I remind myself of that day. So I never underestimate myself again. So I never lose myself in someone else's dream. So I always recognize my own worth. Because those who don't respect themselves are not respected by the world. This story did not end. This story became a lesson. For everyone who gives everything in silence. For everyone who is ignored in the end. For everyone who forgets themselves. I remembered myself. I saved myself. One chose myself. That was my real victory. That was my true success. That was my real story. And that is the truth most people cannot bear.